go bad locations that they might want to go to. And they say, well, or they may find a perfect location to go to. And in which case, off they go. One way or the other, after 3 or 4 or 5 days, at the most, they're going. That's when they colonize the new nest. Anyway, there's a lot of really cool things that they're doing in the meantime. Piping and the queen pipes for 10 days. Then the workers pipe for 10 days. They do waggle dances. And then they do buzz running to get everybody excited and ready to go. And then they launch into the air and off they go. And I went to one of my bee yards and at lunchtime and found a swarm coming out. They were launching. And I thought, oh, too late. They're gone. And I saw them, they was on the edge of a big clearing, big forest. And I thought, okay, I'll follow them. They're not getting away from me. Big field, like 100-acre cornfield. And I see where they're going, and I just get in there with them. I'm underneath them. I'm going to stay right with them wherever they go. And I thought, I know where they're going. They're going across the field to go to the woods over there. They're going to go to a tree. I'll find that tree and follow them to their tree. So we get about 2/3 of the way out into this great big open field, and suddenly I noticed the bees are, wait a minute, they're turning around. And so they turned around and went about 300 yards down the tree line and went back in the woods that they came out of to their tree. And I lost them. It's like, Anyway, did you know a bee line is not a straight line? No, bee line is not a straight line. When a bee comes out of a beehive, does he go straight? No, he goes right? That's not a straight line. Bee line, that's a stupid term. Bee line is not straight, it's a corkscrew. Anyway, okay. Yeah, there we go. Let's talk about the decisions to trap out. What do you want from a trap out? Do you need the strength of those bees to add to your colony? You want to save the bees? Everybody wants to save the bees. Well, let's be honest. Sometimes the bees are not worth saving. It's too small, it's too much trouble, you don't want to do a cutout. So, do a trap out instead of a cutout. Take as many bees out as you can, and then seal that sucker shut with great stuff expanding foam. One time I went to a place. Folks called me I was pollinating blueberries. The farm next door called me and said, "We need you to come. We got bees in the patio, 1 story up, on a great big old patio that was on an old colonial house." I get over there and it's the DuPont family, one of the DuPonts. And I said, "Sure, I can do this, but I can't do the cutout. You hire a carpenter, I will be your technical advisor. I'll trap them out for a few weeks, and then you can do the cutout. And I will be here to help you with the cutout." And I picked up some painters' suits for the carpenters to put on as extra protection in addition to veils and all, because Tyvek suits are pretty good if you don't have a bee suit right away. So have you ever used Tyvek suits? They're great. They're cheap. Get in there and get the carpenters all suited up and say, "Wait a minute, is anybody here on statins?" One guy's the older guy in charge. I used to. And the guy said, "Yeah, I'm on statins." I said, "Shoot. You can have an instantaneous drop in blood pressure if you get stung. Maybe it happens sometimes." And he said, "Call the local EMS, find out where they are, and make sure they're available in case we need them to come." We had no problem, but at least the guy I was ready in case of these emergency, and I knew what the potentials are. You never know what's going to happen. Bad things can happen, so you got to always be prepared and don't let bad things happen, especially to people that you're trying to help. So I got these guys in their painter suits, and I said, "Wait a minute, Tiger. Isn't that made by some crappy little company called
DuPont.
DuPont?
Or Exalta.
Yeah, it
Or
is.
DuPont.
Anyway, it just had to twist it in a little bit. Come on in. All right, time of year. Spring's usually the best, but take them whenever you can. People tend to call you in August when it's really hot. Am I wrong? It's like, yeah, and it's like the guys who say, man, I was mowing the grass and suddenly I got stung by a swarm of bees. I said, really? Was it the third week in September? He said, how did you know that? I said, well, it's kind of obvious. You know, it wasn't, first of all, it wasn't bees. It was hornets, ground hornets. And it started out with a queen in April, and she then had 5, and then a couple of weeks later there were 15, and then there were 36, and then there were, you know, geometrically, it took all summer for that hive to become thousands and thousands of hornets. And on the third week in September, you went across that spot with your lawnmower, just like you always did, and you got stung. Bingo! You know, it's not rocket science. It's just biology, just basic biology. So, they always call you in the heat of the summer. We talked about the difference. Everybody understand cutouts and trap outs? 2 different things. Any questions about the difference between cutouts and trap outs? Okay. How much time is it going to take you? How much gain are you going to get? If that bee's really worth $200, is your weeks and days of preparation and work worth $200? Maybe. Maybe it's just fun. Maybe you just do it because it's fun, right?
Sometimes you're trying something new.
And trying something new. And you may try something new until you say, gosh, this is not fun anymore.
True. But in the idea of expansion of the hive,
Yes.
if you funnel them through a new box, can't you do that to an empty box?
No. The bees will not stay in an empty box. Now, you can get, if you put comb in there, drawn comb, yes, if they can't get back into the box, the place where they came from, they will hang out on that drawn comb. What are they loyal to? Where's their loyalty? Their loyalty is to the queen that's on the inside. They're still wanting to try to get inside. They're still unhappy bees. The only way you can make them happy bees is to give them a queen, something to be loyal to.
Oh, but they still have the queen that is in there.
They instantly change their loyalty to the new queen. Can't get back in the old place, they'll stay here.
If you have the box with the queen.
Yes. If you don't,
But if you just put comb there, and the bees find that that's a new entrance,
not good enough. Give it a try. It's just not good enough. Trust me.
I'm
Yeah.
not willing to enter in that.
But
I heard somebody from the back saying that it doesn't pay off.
you know, everybody should do it once, twice, 3 times until you say, okay, I've done this a few times.
One of my friends just had a comb taken out of an RV. It was real easy. Just open the door, right there it was. And it was $500, not $200.
He paid beekeeper to come do it.
$500.
Okay, that sounds good. Is that a fair price, though?
Yes. Most people don't want to pay at all.
Yeah. A cutout is a minimum of $1,000, and plus they should sign a contract explaining to them that they are responsible for all damages, repairs, damages. You are cutting out. You are not building back, right?
Right.
It's a big difference. We're talking, you know, you can make sure it's in writing, or you're going to say, well, wait a minute, you damaged my wall, you cut a hole in my whatever. Okay. So advantages for bees, we talked about that. Possibility of getting disease, dangers. Oh, you could get Africanized bees. Wow, that's a great one.
That's fun.
Anybody ever had some hot bees? The dangers, heat exhaustion, heart attack. So there's a little outfit called Ergodyne that sells cooling packs, cooling vests, $205 on eBay. You put them in the freezer. Then when you go out to do a 108-degree trap out, you just whip it on. It's a vest. It cools you for about an hour, hour and a half. You can do any amount of physical labor as long as you've got that 65-degree or that, a freezing pad device. It's a space-age technology. It pushes the cool into your body core. I got 2 of them. So, keep one in the freezer, switch it out, keep going. It's worth having. Called cooling vest. Check it out. Okay. Yes.
They use them in hospitals also.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Have you used one?
No.
Does
I have
anybody
a
use
friend
a
that has.
cooling vest? Yep.
Johnny has.
You got them? Good. Got more than one?
I have 2.
2. Yes. I like it when it
And you can put it in the refrigerator.
Yes.
If you're in a hotel that's got a little refrigerator, just put it in the refrigerator.
They say 15 minutes is enough in the freezer.
Yeah.
30 in a refrigerator.
Yeah.
So you use it often from a refrigerator?
Yes.
And does it work just as well?
Yes.
It's got better if it's frozen?
No, it's better if it's frozen.
Okay.
But
Still
being
good.
that I have 2, I've always got one in an ice chest with ice, and but I always throw it in the hotel cooler.
You're a pro. Okay. Let's see. Let's talk about things that you can do. Okay. There's a guy named Price who kind of patented the extension. It's an entrance extension. It's a one-way. You can look it up on the internet. It's the Price box.
Bless you.
Over here in the left, do you see the system he's got? He's right there, yeah. He's got a little extension off the side of his box, and on the inside, he's got a little one-way door that can be closed, so it's one way or open, and it's called the Naomi Price multi-step method. Also, you can look up Wimpy Hogan. He used to sell it called a bee swarm harvester, but you can't buy it anymore. But you can look it up on the internet and read all about it. Make yourself one. Wimpy Hogan and Naomi Price. It's always good to have a bee vacuum. I didn't have one, when I needed one. Luckily, Jim Nielsen loaned me his, and then you can make your own bee trap, bee vacuum. I'm sorry, out of a garbage can, and just borrow one from somebody like me or whatever, and then just copy it. All you need is a vacuum inside and a little bit of PVC piping and some screen. It's not that difficult. It's really easy to make your own bee vacuum. Or borrow one from one of the rest of us and make your own bee vacuum. Then when you get to the boat or whatever it is that has a lot of bees that are easy to get to, you just suck them up with that bee vacuum, and then cut out the comb, harvest the honey, and away you go. Then you got to worry about the flyers, because they're coming back, all day long, and at night, almost all of them come back, but they don't all come back. There's always a few flyers out there that don't come back for the night. They get caught out, either rain, or they get lost, or they get a little over ambitious and get too far away. Guess what? They'll come back in the morning. So don't think you got them all, but the next day you might get them all. But the owner of that property or whatever is going to be unhappy with you because there's still flyers around. I did a trap out in Bridgeport and sent the owner pictures of the bees marching into my box. Thousands of them, thousands of bees marching into. You ever seen them march? Bees march? Yeah. It's like, okay, they really just march in. And sent her videos of this. And then the next day, I'm a bad guy because there were still some bees around, and she needed the construction workers to get in there. And anyway, now I don't. She won't call me again. That's for sure. Okay. That's, things that you need to be a bee trapper: caulk gun, aluminum foil, grape stuff, sealed wool, duct tape, nuke box, ropes, straps, boards, screwdrivers, hammers, nails, black plastic bags, black plastic sheeting material, cones, screening material, ladder. Okay, everybody got that? Take a picture of it. Quick. Okay, got it? Anybody want to listen, watch it and look at it some more? Okay, I'm going to give you another 10 seconds to take a picture. All right, everybody good? More equipment. Oh my gosh. Catch box, pallets, preferably a nuke box with at least 2 frames of brood and a queen right colony. Materials to build a platform or suspend a box up in the air. Next. You can put brood in there by itself. So you said, what about just a box, an empty box, right? What's your name, sir? Oh,
Tony?
Tony and
Angelo.
Angelo. You were thinking maybe just an empty box, right?
Not an empty box, but with frames.
How about brood?
That's a nice touch.
Better than not. Brood, you've got a chance. No brood,
Honey?
queen, and brood. Oh, now you're getting there. Yeah. Okay. And homeowner issues, deconstruction, we talked about. Liability, responsibility. Yes, sir.
I'm still a little confused about, here's this queen here, and you've got a queen out here. You're trying to get her bees to come out here.
No, I'm not. This is kind of 2 different things. If you want to try to get that queen out, that's a different issue.
You don't have a queen out there.
That's true. Yes.
You just
do
put
not.
brood.
You can start with a queen to get all the flyers to stay there, but after you've got the first 10,000 bees, then you're right.
No queen.
No queen.
Okay.
But brood's still good
Yeah,
because she'll come out.
that makes sense to me.
Yeah, that makes more sense, doesn't it? Okay, next. Cone. Okay, there's a picture of a box with a cone in it, one way. Light tight. You don't want the drones to clog things up, so you better check it. Make sure they're not getting a clog up. Vacuum the, here's some Jim's special ideas. Vacuum the guard bees. Keep the bees cool. Sometimes you need ice. Screen covers, water, whatever it takes to keep the bees cool. Otherwise, you'll just have dead bees because they can't stand the extra heat. Permit for crossing county lines. Permit for crossing state lines. Oops. And a charge for the removal based on the difficulty of the task. Yes.
Where do you get the
Yep.
permit for crossing county lines?
There's some new bee law that just changed, so, if you're doing removals, you're supposed to have a permit, to do removals. But you don't have to have a permit to transport bees in Texas across county lines.
At one time you did, though.
At one time you did, yeah, when that information was provided, you did need that. Last week. the law-
Seriously, the law changed last week?
Yeah.
Yes, September 1st.
So they always wanted to charge us $35 for transporting across lines because we didn't need a permit to remove bees. Now we need a permit to remove bees, but we can go across county lines.
Okay,
They're still getting the $35 from us.
In their mind.
Oh,
Where do you get it from? Where do you get the permits from?
Texas Apiary Inspection Service is who you apply. You can go online and do it. This is for later on. I can talk about it after Joe's presentation. I talked with the state inspector earlier this week.
Is he hard to get a hold of?
No.
State lines the same?
Crossing, what about going to Oklahoma, New Mexico?
You're supposed to have an interstate permit, but now it's a one-time permit for the year.
And you get that from
Going
the,
in and out.
you apply for it at the state level, right?
Pardon?
You apply online?
Yes, at the state.
Excellent. Switch out nuke boxes. We talked about cones, screen wires in it. Next. Turn off the electricity. August 25th, 2001. Oh, this is the one that died in St. Pete. This is not the one that died in Fort Worth. Looks like a pretty nice guy. He's gone now. This is serious business. Okay. Final points. Check your trap out every day for jam ups. You know, make sure you're not causing more problems. You can find the Naomi Price article in online at American Bee Journal. That's a really good article. Wimpy Hogan has a website, or at least there's a website where his stuff is in there called Sustainable Bee Blog. And you can search for my stuff just on YouTube by putting Joe Lewis Beekeeping. And if you have another hour of your life to give away, you can listen to my presentations about sustainable beekeeping through nukes. And now, what are your questions? Wow.
What was your website?
Yes, yes. My website? I don't have a website.
No, you said for the library.
Oh, the library is here in Decatur Library.
Just a library.
Books, yeah, real books. Yeah,
But they're closed right now.
I know, but they're online. You got any?
the books are not online. Okay.
No. You can order them online,
Right.
but you can't check them out right now. Because the library is shut down for
Or
renovation.
you can spend $200 and buy.
Yeah, you can buy them.
You can buy ABC XYZ of beekeeping, the latest edition, for $200, or you can go down and look at this one for free. The Honeybee Democracy, you know, is $150 hardbound. But it's worth reading. It's really worth looking at. Yes.
You were saying when you went and got the bees and they were bad?
Bad bees, like mean bees.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Was it bites you said, or you said there was something with them that was not good? You got
Small hive beetle.
all high beetles.
No, you can't check it before. No. Okay.
No, you're going to get whatever's there, and then you got to deal with it, treat them, or whatever. Yes, ma'am.
What's that last line say?
SusquehannaBeekeepers.com or my free queen rearing calendar wheel. You ever seen the wheel that you can buy? You've seen it in the catalog. You turn the little dial. It's got 31 days around the edge, and you turn the dial. You can buy it, for $25, or you can download it for free because I've made it available, and print your own on a color printer, and then put a little staple in the middle, and then when you've got a queen cell that's just as big, you can dial the number to that size queen cell and say, oh, she's going to hatch on this day.
Maybe
Yeah.
is some of these documents still on the Weiss County or Weiss Texas Bee Club's webpage?
Yeah.
I know some of them were posted, like the calendar,
You're still there.
they're still there. A lot of Joe's information is on our page, or on our webpage.
That's what I was gonna ask, and also if we're gonna put that in out, so the text people to text that file of this presentation. Send that.
Whatever
Oh,
they'd
I
like,
love the
just
tech
be
person.
aware that some of the
I'm
pictures,
just asking, that would be
Yeah.
great.
some of the pictures are copyrighted, and I didn't get permission to use them, so whatever. Don't get me in trouble. Don't put it on
So
your
it's only
website.
internal for the group is what I guess.
Yes.
Well, no,
exactly.
you can go to the Facebook Live because they've been filming it.
We have a YouTube channel where the videos are posted.
Okay.
Oh, is it YouTube?
Also,
Blue
Awesome.
posts, Blue created that for us.
To help?
That does.
And I added the YouTube channel on our website, so you just go click on the button.
Perfect, thank you.
Fantastic. Well, I've been a member. Yes, sir.
When you were talking about
Your name is
Lattimore,
Len.
you're talking about if you're trying to catch not the queen but just the workers, you're supposed to seal the entrance down to a small amount so they can get into the box. Would you still have to leave another part open for the rest of the hive to enter or leave, or that's the only place they
That's
can
the
just
only place they can come and go. Now, let me give you a technique. Start out letting them come and go from multiple places. Then make it 3. Then make it 2. Then make it 1. So yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point, because it could be a real jam up the first day.
Would you have to provide any water or anything, or how long do you leave them in the box when you have to?
Well, the box is going to have their own flyers that are going out for water. The outer box that you add. It's
So either method, the box is still open to the outside?
yes,
Okay.
yes. There's no point except when you're ready to move that box that you close it up, screen it off. But make sure you do it before it gets so full that you can't get all the bees in. You know, because when you've got 20,000 bees trying to get in a 5-frame box, it's not going to happen, and you're not going to be able to move it, especially in the summer when they're hanging out anyway. You may have to leave it there until the first cold day, like next Wednesday.
What?
Colder.
We're gonna do cutouts too. There's a lot of bad stuff you can get into. Asbestos. They used to put it in drywall mud. They used to put it in everything. So you have to be careful. Sometimes the city wants you to get a permit too.
Yeah, working in a city is
Do an
always
asbestos
different.
test.
Out in the county is always a lot easier.
Don't go to the city.
Now, who's got a really interesting trap out story they want to tell real quick?
Tell your story,
Yeah,
James.
we got one.
You got one, Phil?
All right, let's hear it.
Okay, I'm Tim Ham
Can
from.
you turn around and tell, stand up, please.
From the Stony Group, and Denton County beekeeper. But
Go
anyway,
up there next to Joe.
no,
Stony Group. What's that mean?
we have one in Stony right now down the road from Bill, and it's a giant. They put cable fence, pipe and cable fence. Half the spool, one of those big spools,
Oh, yeah.
still got wire on it. Okay, you can't move this thing. They have gotten in that hole in the top, and they're down in there. And it's a really, really healthy hive, but we've tried baiting boxes and all this stuff, and they won't touch it. But I was thinking about taking that hole in the top of that spool. I can't take the spool apart where it's sitting because it's still out
Can
in
you
their
close off
pasture.
all the openings?
Hmm?
Can you close off all the entrances so that there's a single place for them to come and go? Work on that, get it down to something small, and then you can do a trap out.
So I was thinking
And
of
then
setting
you
a
can
box
do
up.
then you can do a destruction because you may want to kill the bees. And let's face it. Sometimes it's better to kill the bees humanely using dishwashing detergent and water. Make up your sudsy solution in a sprayer. You spray them, they suffocate, and they die. Okay? Sometimes it has to be done. I do not use chemicals, and I don't recommend using chemicals. Some people want to spray chemicals on everything. No, just dishwashing detergent and water. That's all it takes to kill bees.
Hey, George.
Yes.
Joe, I think he wasn't finished.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Tell about putting a box
Yes.
on top.
Well, yeah, I mean,
You couldn't do it.
I've talked
They
to
wouldn't.
several people about different techniques, and finally we just went back and got we had a swarm trap sitting over the hole, right beside the hole, thinking that
A swarm trap. What is a swarm trap? That's a box that has comb in it. That's just comb.
Yeah.
It's not good enough. You can't do it. A swarm trap causes swarms that pick your location as the best of all the possibilities. They pick yours as the best one. And guess what? That's just not going to work.
One out of 100,
Nope.
maybe.
so you couldn't just put a box over that hole because now you might lose that hive into that spool, right?
Nope.
You're one way.
No, if you've got frame, if you've got a queen white colony, they're not gonna combine with that hive and
They're not
chance.
gonna leave
I
it.
don't
You're not
know.
gonna fight.
I'm sorry?
You're not gonna fight.
No, I don't know. Tony, what do you think?
Well, if the queen in the outer box died, then yes, your hive would go inside.
Yeah.
But if the queen in the inside box died, or if they were blocked where they couldn't get back to her, then they're going to adopt her.
What if you just took a brood box without a bottom on it and set it right there on top of that hole where the
They
only
will.
way they can get out is to go through
If you
that.
put comb in there, they will expand into it eventually, and eventually the queen will be there. But it could take half a year. You got time? Do it. Yeah,
Yeah,
do
you
it.
ain't doing nothing
Yeah,
else.
do it. Then kill the rest of them. Move it and fill it full of expanding foam, and they won't. There's no place for them to come back. If you do not fill the cavity with expanding foam, next year when it gets warm, the wax begins to secrete atoms into the atmosphere, and the bees will smell it miles and miles away and come back to that spot again and again and again, year after year. You take them out, it comes again. You take them out, it comes again. It's like, wait a minute, what am I doing wrong? You didn't eliminate all the wax and fill the cavity completely with something else. Okay? Make sense? All right. Yes, sir.
So you got a cable spool with bees in it currently. They got one entrance in and out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as far as we can tell.
Right.
I mean, unless they've made little between the
They're
wires.
sitting on the flat end.
But it's about, that spool is about half full, you can't move it. So I told him, I said, well, you got a tractor, I said, I can just take forks and I can move that spool to another location and away from front of your house.
You think it might be full of honey?
It's
Oh,
half-
sure it
it's
is.
half full.
Do you have any other bees?
That's what I would do. I'd
Oh,
pick
yeah.
up
You have other bees. Okay. Guess what? Bust that thing up. Let the other bees rob it. Take all the honey back to their hives. Then you can harvest it out of your supers.
It's too far.
Too far?
Yeah.
I'd just take the tractor, or
if-
pick it up and move it 10 feet.
Move it closer to.
I could take
Move
those
it
4
10
big
feet
bolts
and
off the
put
top
a
of that
high
spool.
Queen rank box right where that spool was.
That's always.
You'll get 70% of the bees from it.
That's a good technique. Then every day when the bees fly out, they come back to your box. Because they don't know. You know what I mean? It's like they'll fly around for a little while, and then they'll come back and go into your box, and you've got more bees, free bees, with the small hive beetle and the mites. And you get all the good stuff. Yes, Lynn.
I have two questions. You were saying about filling the cavity. Is there any problem once it's filled? As you were saying, it will attract more bees eventually. Is there any problem with leaving the wax and honey that's there after the bees are gone, especially if you get the queen and everything?
You took cookies and put them in your bed and crumbled them up. What do you think would happen over time?
Doesn't that attract a bunch of different things?
And attract bugs into your bed, right? But honey does the same thing, it attracts the bugs right back into that wall.
So eventually, would you eventually just have to cut it out?
Yeah, that's the spool.
You know, it'll leak over time and then it'll protect the
yeah,
sheet rock.
Yeah, it's going to soak through eventually in the heat. It's going to be a problem. Eventually, it's going to probably have to be cut out.
But you don't want to do that most likely when the bees are still there.
Right.
And then the other question is, you're talking about if you have to kill the bees using dish soap. Would diatomaceous earth also work? Because that works for a lot of different insects.
Not for flying insects. No.
No, not as fast. It will kill, but
Will
not
it?
as fast.
Yeah, it will kill,
It will kill.
but not fast. If you want a quick kill, you got to cover the breathing apparatuses, right? So they smother instantly.
I use diatomaceous earth at the base of my hives to kill ants.
I use diatomaceous earth at the base of my hives to kill small hive beetle larvae.
Carol uses stock salt to kill the larvae.
Ah, stock salt's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stop
Salt.
salt.
Salt, just salt.
When you say the bottom, you're talking about on the ground, right?
Yes.
What did you say that was, Dom?
Stock salt.
Salt.
Yep, salt you buy at the feed store.
Put on the ground.
But does that kill everything underneath the hive, including the vegetation?
Yeah.
You could.
If it's strong enough, it will, but generally it don't.
Couple of rains, it'll wash away.
So
You'll
just
never-
kind of like
You gotta
sprinkle it?
replace it every so often.
Well, you have to diatomaceous earth too,
Oh, if
That's
it
what I
rains
use,
at all.
diatomaceous earth. I just put it in the ground.
but you have to replace it.
Carol, do you have any swarm catching experiences you'd like to share?
No vegetation for a year.
Anybody else have any experiences they'd like to share about trap outs or cutouts they've done? Yes, sir. Your name? Frank?
A friend of mine had I noticed that he had bees coming out of his chimney. And I was going for one, and every week I would come, I think you have a hive in your chimney or something. For weeks I kept telling him. Well, I I'll say more than half a year went by, he was too busy to check on it. And then he comes back and tells me, I think you're right, because we noticed that when we were plugging the radio on the outlet, honey was coming out.
Whoa. That's funny.
So if they cost him a lot more money, we would fix the problem.
Oh, man, what a mess.
There's some cutouts that you gotta weigh, the homeowner and the beekeeper's gotta figure out what's the right cost, Talk about chimney, I was up in Bowie, and to a homeowner up there that they did have bees in a chimney, 2-story house and brick. Well, it all boils back to our carpenters. Our carpenters are building homes fast and quick. They create a lot of voids in these homes, and they never fill them up with anything. That chimney's the same way. All it is a square box that goes from the ground all the way to the top, and it's hollow. Because they just got a stovepipe in the center. Perfect place because they leave leaf holes in the brick, and the bees get in the leaf holes, so they build nests in there. To remove bees out of there, you've got to remove the bricks. How many bricks do you remove out of a chimney before the chimney collapses? How do you locate where in that chimney, in that 30 feet, that hive is actually located at? They may be going in this hole up here. The hive could be clear down here. I've seen it more than once, and I don't do repairs. And that's why some of these removals just ain't working. I've crawled underneath houses. There was a beekeeper in World War killed crawling underneath the house because he cut into power. You've got snakes, you've got spiders, you've got chickens. It's a lot of work. And a lot of people don't appreciate the amount of work it takes. If you go to town, or say they're a doctor or a nurse, they're making $100 an hour, $150 an hour. But they want you to do it for free.
That's right.
That's work. It's hard work to be in that suit, in that heat, and your cost of the equipment. You can't do it for, to me, $50 an hour is not enough.
Nope.
Plus your time when you travel and your equipment.
That's a good contract.
Is it fun? Yeah. It's a lot of fun. We've done some pretty cheap one over the years. Donnie taught us how to do our first one. It was right here in Bridgeport. And we were doing 2 or 3 a day every Saturday and Sunday.
That's hard work.
Yeah, it's hard work. But as our operation grew with bees that we were taking care of, what becomes priority? If you've got a full-time job, do your bees that you bought, paid for, put in equipment, are they worth sacrificing your time to them to go chase a cutout? To spend or not make $300-400 because now you got this put them on, or is the time more spent, better spent taking care of your own bees and learning how your own bee behavior is?
You got to figure out what the priorities are and where to spend your time. Frank, how many hives do you have? None, but you're going to have 10 next year, right? Yes.
I'm coming here to learn.
All right, good. Okay, Frank needs bees. Everybody is selling bees. Be sure to see him after the meeting. But once you get 10 hives, just remember that you will always be tempted to spend 80% of your time on 20% of your assets. And you ought to be spending 80% of your time on 80% or 100% of your assets. So it's always tempting to fool with the ones that have problems. You've got to resist the challenge. You've got to resist the temptation to waste your time trying to save something when you ought to be spending your time taking care of all the good ones. Okay? Am I right?
Yes. You do not have to save people.
And that's right. You don't have to save everybody in the world. Is Mary Berberich
Especially
here?
if they don't want to pay you.
That's right.
Mary's watching on
Mary
Facebook.
Berberich? Is she online?
She's on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Right here.
Hi, Mary. She's a hero. She goes out and gets bees. But you're right. You don't have to fix every problem, and you don't have to save every swarm of bees. Spend your time on your bees back at home instead of wasting your time on a dinky swarm that probably has mites and diseases anyway. I think I've used all of my 3 hours that are allocated. You all have been a great audience. Thank you very much.
Joe has always inspired me for beekeeping for several years. I heard about him from the original, I guess, Mr. Steele, was he? No.
Yeah, Charles Steele. Yeah.
Original founder of this bee club. And Charles would tell us about Joe. We never met Joe. We never knew Joe. But what Charles would say was, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. He can make more bees out of the bees that he has than we can get. So he was just enamored by you and your talent. So it was very inspiring to me. And then Joe, he inspired me to do these 4-ounce smooth jars. And now we have a 3-pack, and it's from, the honeys are from different parts of Texas, down to Deweyville,
Wow.
Tupelo.
Neat.
Here's Wildfire.
And they're selling like hotcakes.
Yes, they are.
And this is a $59.95 value, which you can get. Don't you get any extras these?
Not today.
Not today.
Not today. Plenty at home. But that was just yours.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very
That
much.
is Wildfire. And the other one is from south of San Antonio.
Fantastic.
We said,
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry about the presentation. Jim, Jim has some queens. How many queens do you have, Jim?
I've got 2 queens here left. I was requeening my hives. These are Italian queens that I purchased out of California. They've been banked, and they're still alive for 3 weeks. So if anybody needs a queen, they can get it put in the hive here today, tomorrow, or not probably not today, but tomorrow. We've got 2 right here today. You guys can have for
How much? How much? What? How much?
free.
Free?
Joe. Free today.
Did somebody say free bees?
But they come from Northern California.
Okay. Make a
Lost
split.
a lot of queens.
Make a split. Somebody go home and make a split tonight. Who's going to do it?
You don't wanna do it tonight.
You're gonna do it?
Oh,
How do you do a split?
you know how to do a split? Okay, go online to Joe Lewis Beekeeping and you'll learn how to make splits. Nukes and splits. Anyway.
So I did want to point out on our website, because Jim had asked about his resources that he had so kindly lent to us, and it's here on our website under the resources menu. It's down here at the bottom, and there's that wheel he was talking about. So we have lots of stuff on our website.
Can you pull it up? Or
The wheel?
yeah, the wheel. Ah, look at that. The beekeeping, the queen rearing wheel. Okay? That's what it looks like. Just print it out in color. If you don't have a color printer at home, use the one at work.
Thanks there, Joe.
Oh, did I say that?
Yes, you did out loud, too.
Is there anything that I've forgotten? Okay. Good. James, you want to cover the law, the new laws?
Felicia had a question.
Yeah, I did. I had a lot of questions.
Felicia's got lots of questions.
So, regarding
We got 6 minutes.
what is the new law? Who has to register? Like we've never had more than 5 hives. Do we have to register?
That's a very good question, Felicia, because they've struck that language from apiary. Now it's beekeeper.
That's correct. It is beekeeper registration. Beekeeper registration is 100% in Texas voluntary. So in other words, if you don't make a difference whether you've got 1 hive or 10,000 hives, if you want to register in Texas as a beekeeper, it is your choice. You don't have to register, or you can register. The biggest thing that come out of the beekeeper's registration with the new tax law was primarily driven by the county appraisal offices. county appraisal office across the state of Texas wanted a way to basically verify that you're a beekeeper. Because you're filing for your agriculture exemption. Maybe you're not. But if you're filing for agriculture exemption, there's two ways for the county appraiser to verify that you're a beekeeper, and that's through the beekeeper registration. So the choices are, I lease people for agriculture exemption. Been doing it for years. I can register as a beekeeper in the state of Texas. They charge me $35 a year. And I write down everybody's yards that I have these bees on. So the state, Apiary Inspection Service knows where all those yards at, and the county. The other option is for the property owner that is filing for the agriculture exemption to register as a beekeeper. Are they the beekeeper? No. You may have a suit that you get them. They get out there, they look in their hives. You can call them, like a lot of beekeepers are. They have bees, and they'll come back a year. Yeah, we still got bees, but they're a registered beekeeper. But it helps them get their agriculture exemption, and that's the goal. So do you have to be registered? No. If you're filing for agriculture exemption on your real estate, it's a good idea that the landowner gets the registration. The interstate permit now has changed for those that do migratory beekeeping, which I don't know anybody here that goes out of state yet, other than you. You don't go out of state yet.
Just California, but
Just California. So that's a one-time fee. Well, I don't really know. So,
I didn't get to last year. It's not every year.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking about going out of state too. So we get charged a $250 fee now, but it's a one-time fee for the entire year. Whereas we used to have to get a permit to go out of state, we used to have to get a permit to come back into state. The intrastate permit went away altogether. So we can move bees anywhere we want to within the state of Texas without a permit. We struck it out. There is a new bee removal statement. So if you're removing bees, doing cutouts, not catching swarms, but remove, cutouts, trap outs, there is a bee removal statement. There's no fee applied for it. It's valid from September 1st through August 30th. So if you're thinking you're going to do cutouts or removals, get your removal statement, and I doubt you'll ever be checked anyway. Apiary inspection. If you want the state inspector to look at your hives, it's increased to $100. And then bee brand is still $10, but that's a one-time fee for your bee brand. So that just gives you a number. So that's basically the gist of the new.
What was the last one you said? Bee what?
Pardon?
Bee what?
Bee brand?
Bee brand.
What is that?
That's a brand you put on their left hip.
Make sure it's the left. Can't be wrong.
It's a set of numbers that the
you're
state
looking at.
that the state assigns you, and a lot of beekeepers, especially move bees around, they will brand that into their boxes, or they'll brand it into their frame. It serves two purposes. If your hives get stolen, and should get found, it gives the state a way to identify who the beekeeper was. That's the biggest thing. Or the state inspector is driving down the highway, oh, there's a bee yard. He's kind of like the state police. He can go anywhere and open up boxes. Oh, these bees are sick. He can look it up, find out who they are, and then give them a call.
Yeah. You sent out this all in an email, right?
No, Luke posted the new law changes on, Lou did. And I'm just high caps.
But didn't we get an email with this in it?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I forwarded it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
From
So,
the-
yeah.
The state organization, they sent it out to us, and then I sent it to
Yeah.
So you can print it out and have it.
That's all I got.
Thanks, James.
Thank you.
Still got 2 coins.
If you're checking these,
that you're going into. The only you've gone to California. The question was, is the state you're going into charging you a fee to bring bees into that state?
It's possible. Oklahoma has a clause that says don't bring Africanized bees into Oklahoma. If you do, you'll be in trouble. Somebody's got to find that out. So I don't know if they got people going out and checking that, but
Well, California is going to inspect your bees when they hit the state.
yeah, you can't
They're
cross
going to
the
look under
border.
the nets, they're going to look for ants, grasshoppers, whatever. If for any reason, they'll pull you aside.
Yep.
You had a question? How many hives or how do you get your tax exemption on bees? I mean, I know for goats it's so many head per acre.
So per the tax code, chapter 131, and there's another tax code, the minimum acreage, you have to have at least 6 acres. Or they say 5 acres, but if you got 5 acres with your home on it, the county takes an acre for the home. So we say 6 acres. So you gotta have 6 hives for the first 5 acres in Wise County. Each county is different, okay? And then in Wise County, you have to have 1 additional hive for every 2.5 acres.